Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Davo, and I brought something pretty special today. Since we're all at home anyway, I thought I'd find something that required an internet connection. And so I set up this Zoom meeting with someone who's actually bought a one-year-old home. They bought it in a town that I don't know that well, though I did visit last November. And so I'm curious what she experienced. We've had a little bit of correspondence through email, but this will be the first time that we meet face to face. And we're sharing it with you guys, just in case it might help somebody else out there. As far as where she bought in Sambuca of Sicily. Sambuca di Sicilia. Sicilia? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to get this out of the way ahead of time. Subscribe to the channel. I really want to keep sharing what I can about Italian real estate experience. Make sure to like the video when you like something so that I know it's something that you like. But also it helps with the algorithm. So this video can make it to more people and become suggested to more people. All right, thank you so much. We're going to wait for her to hop in here and go ahead and get started. All right, she messaged me. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Nice to officially meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Digitally.
Yes. The only way we meet anyone anymore.
I know, right? I'm still figuring out this Zoom thing out as well, so don't worry about anything.
Okay.
How was life in the US?
It's good. It's quiet here because we're staying inside. I'm in Chicago, so it's definitely a lot slower and quieter than it normally is at this time of year.
I totally understand. Anyway, I'm Dave Waters. I actually go by Davo on my YouTube channel. And you're Meredith Tabone?
Yes.
Did I say that right? Tabone?
And that's how you would say it if you were in Italy, but normally
exactly.
Meredith Tabone, but yeah, Tabone.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Italian or English?
You can use either.
All right. Well, in Italy, maybe I'll stick to the Italian.
I like it.
Anyway, I'm excited to talk to you. I've hunted a long time for someone that's bought a one-year-old home. And
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. You were the first to respond, and I'm very grateful because I know very little about where you bought a one-year-old home from.
Okay.
Anyway, I'd like to keep it a little bit informal. Go ahead and share anything you'd like, but well, I have a few questions that we could answer. Go ahead and give us a background how it all came about.
Okay. It really all started about probably 6 or 7 years ago. I had just kind of started finding out a little bit more about my dad's family, and specifically where they were from in Sicily. And my dad passed away years ago when I was in high school. So like 1996. And I knew that my family was from the southwest part of Italy, or I'm sorry. And I kind of always just said from there, because I have a love of travel and I've been traveling the world for about the last 10 to 12 years. I always mentioned to my friends that I thought that I would someday buy a place in the southwest coast of Sicily, but never really made any plans to do that. And I was completely unaware of the one-year-old homes or that entire scheme. And in January of last year, I think maybe late January, early February, I had a few different friends forward me links on LinkedIn of articles that were about the one-year-old homes that were for sale. So I think there was one in New York Times, maybe in another one in CNN, that talked specifically about Sambuca. So I saw those, and it had a little email at the bottom of it that just basically said, if you want more information, you can email this email. And I looked up the town because I thought that seems like the same town that my family is from, but that would be really bizarre.
That's cool.
Quite a coincidence. So I looked it up, and it was actually the same village that my great grandfather was from. And I knew nothing about the village, but and I really looked nothing up, but I just read the article and then sent an email and got a response email back saying, here are the steps you have to take if you want to bid on a home. And I kind of set it to the side for probably about a month. And then I knew it was mid-March, and I remember there being a deadline to when you had to get the documentation sent in for a bid. and you had
Sorry,
to.
was this just last year?
Yeah, this was January of 2019.
Okay, gotcha.
So just over, yeah, so like, what, 14 months ago. So yeah, I think it was actually probably more like February when I got that, but I set it aside for like a month and realized that I was probably up against a deadline, checked the deadline, and it was April 1st to have everything done. And I only had a few days, and you had to send the paperwork in by regular mail, like, or UPS, I guess is actually what I sent it in. And you had to wire $5,000 as a deposit.
Oh, wow.
So they had to
Before
get
you even bought anything.
before you do anything, just to place a bid, you had to wire 5,000 euro.
Wow.
And if you did not win your bid, you were receiving that back within 30 days. So
Okay.
my paperwork arrived there on March 27th, and the deadline was April 1st.
Wow.
And then subsequently, I broke my ankle about 10 days after that and was on bed rest. So I just had a bunch of other stuff come up, and I wasn't thinking a lot about it. But by by the early May, I was starting to think, this is weird. I haven't heard anything. So I'm like, is that a good thing because I didn't get my money back, or something else? So I finally, like on May 12th, I actually received a letter saying, an email that saying that I had won the bid.
Wow.
I had bid 5,555 euro. So
Okay, so it wasn't €1.
well, the minimum bid you could make was €1. So I could have bid €1. So there's properties, they had links to show you just like basically what the property looked like from a, just one picture. And you could see where it was located within the village. So that was kind of all I had to go on. And I've never been to Sicily before. So, and I, again, didn't really do any research. But they said the minimum bid was €1. And I just thought I'll bid 5,000 euro. And I don't know why. 5 is my favorite number. Property that the house number was 5, but I talked to my mom and she said, well, bid 5,050 euro in case somebody else bids 5,000, so you outbid them. And then I just decided.
Smart, actually.
I talked myself out. I talked myself into spending more money. I bid 5,555 euro just to keep it all 5s.
You really do like 5s.
Yeah, so it ends up being about $6,300 is at the time was about,
right.
That's about what I spent. So you had 30 days once you got your letter to wire the actual cost of the home, what your bid was, and then start the process from there. So that was really how it started.
I'm going to pull up a picture you just sent to me.
Okay.
And it's you in front of the house, right?
That's right.
Okay, so that's you standing in front of, is that all of it, or is there more than one house in this picture?
So there is actually the house with the 2 doors that are behind me, and the balcony above me. That is my house that I bought on auction. The house that's with the garage door is actually a neighboring house.
Does yours have a garage?
My house does not have a garage. It does. It was built in the early 1700s, and it really has not been renovated since then. So it does not have electricity or running water. The downstairs.
That's my question, actually, because a lot of people have questions that follow my channel about where people park and how it is to live there in a day of the life of an Italian.
Yeah. I really had not thought about any of that until I got there. So it's kind of in a little cul-de-sac, so you could just park in front of the house if you wanted to. But I also, from that picture, there's a house on my left-hand side, which is much bigger. It's actually 3 older homes combined into one. And I talked to the people that own it, and I'm in the process of purchasing that through private sale. And then
nice.
combine it all into one large home, and that does have a garage.
That'll be great.
But if I did not have that, I mean, I guess you would just park on the street. I don't have a car there yet, so it's not, but when I go there, I stay at little hotels and stuff. So I always have parking, and there's parking.
Is this in the center of town?
It is. So the original area that was settled was by the Arabs. And so there's what's called the Arab Quarter, and it's about 20 steps away from the Arab Quarter and the main church in the town. So it's very centrally located.
So I don't know if you've seen my video.
Yeah. So it's
I did this.
left. That's the main street.
There's me. Let's see. So there's this street back here. That seems pretty principal. Is it on this street?
Yes. So that it's actually a little further. It's not up that street. It's one block left of this main street that you're on.
Okay, so right behind the door, I entered underneath this arch. You followed that way?
Right. Yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay, so this was the archway I went under. I did understand it was like from Arab times, the
It
city, the
is.
whole area.
Yeah, that's right by my house right there.
I
So
love that little walking around there. Now, there was no virus at that time, but I was literally walking the streets by myself. When you go there, is it pretty much
yes.
that way?
It depends on the time of year that you go. So yeah, I mean there are times, especially when it's on Sundays, when right after our kind of tourist season is ended. So in October,
Yeah, I went in November.
really for a couple of months, yeah, October, November, and then there are a lot of visitors there during the holidays because they have quite a few celebrations for Christmas. And then again in like January and February and March, it's pretty quiet, and you can. And that's actually one of the things that I enjoy about it the most.
It was beautiful.
Just to be able to walk even through the Arab quarters with and look at the artwork and not have anybody there. That's for me part of the reason that I wanted to. I mean, after I purchased it, I really realized how remote it was. I did not know that before. I was happy and delighted. As someone who lives in downtown Chicago, it's kind of a dream for me.
Have you had any problems with the whole transfer of documents and things like that?
I haven't. No, I mean, I had to make a couple of trips there to get it all kind of squared away to sign off on the paperwork for the auction house. You don't technically have ownership of it and get your deposit back until you complete the work. It has to be in living condition. So the basically the requirement was you have to finish the work within 3 years and you have to spend a minimum of 17,000 euro, and it has to be in living condition by the time you finish renovation. And then at that time you get your deposit back and you get the, I guess, title to the house.
Oh, cool.
But there's a few steps I had to take. You know, I had to get a fiscal code.
Right. That's standard pretty for anybody doing any real estate transaction.
Right. So yeah, I had to do quite a bit of preliminary paperwork, which is, I think, most of the time just used as your final paperwork. They just basically want to check the boxes and make sure you did what you said you're going to do. And that's
so aside from the 5,000 and the 5,555 euros, you haven't paid anything else?
No, I have not. And we started the work and on the house about 5 days before they went into quarantine. So
oh, great.
my house is kind of, I can show you pictures of that. It's basically, it looks like rubble in the interior of it. But you know, it'll happen. I just have to be patient.
Yeah, actually, you just sent me a video as well. So this is the front entrance.
Yeah, they're both the front entrance. That goes upstairs. The door to the right goes downstairs. So the upstairs is where families lived. That was like the living area. And the downstairs is where they kept their horses.
Oh, great. And the horses. Did you get any horses when you bought the house?
No, there's no horses. There's nothing living there except for some pigeons, which you're going to see here.
Oh, yeah.
They scared me and I jumped back.
Yeah, I can hear you screaming.
Yes.
So I'm going to share this along with the video when it's on YouTube. But there is a bit of rubble here on the floor and the roofing material above. Do you know if that is asbestos?
No, it is not. It's actually some type of like metal.
It's pretty standard that they use these wave pattern panels.
Yeah.
But back in a certain time period, they were all made of asbestos. But it's better that it's not. Oh, I like, there's a wall here that shows, it's like it's a raw brick. Are you going to try to keep any of these aspects?
Yeah, so that's actually the old kitchen, and that kitchen is going to become a bedroom and a bathroom. But we are going to retain as much of the brick wall that we can.
Okay, so that's pretty much this house, this room and that kitchen. And
and then there's like, there's kind of, you're going to see here. So this is where the balcony is. It's like a weird little nook that you like cool. Down to a balcony. It's a very strange room that has like,
I don't know why, but I love you can see through the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, the first time I went there, those doors weren't even closed. They were just wide open and there was pigeons flying in and out. So yeah, it's just like a weird little side room.
So the second video is downstairs where the
Yep.
horses would sleep.
Correct. Which will become a dining room, a bedroom, and a bathroom.
Very nice. So you already have designs of how to connect this with the other homes you're going to buy in the future?
Yes. So the other house, yeah, I mean, so yeah, the wall right there, we're getting ready to show. That wall connects with the kitchen and the other home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my dad was an architect. I'm not trained by any means, but my dad was an architect, and I've always had an interest in interior design. So I'm working with an architect and an engineer and a contractor, but I did the design, like the blueprints for the layout myself for combining both of the homes.
So are you using architects, engineers from Sambuca?
Yes. Yep. Everybody's local.
Do they speak English?
My architect speaks some English, a small amount of English. My engineer and contractor speak not one word. We use a lot of Google Translate, and my architect, who's also actually the deputy mayor of Sambuca, he speaks enough that we can make it work. And I actually found him on Instagram, but he does know my cousin, who I have never met. My dad's family, but my great grandfather's family, the Tabones still live on the same street that my great grandfather was born and grew up on, and it's actually only a few blocks from the house that I bought, and that was just a coincidence as well.
That's pretty cool. You planning any reunions?
I don't know. So last time I was there, Giuseppe was talking to my cousin on the phone, and we were going to try to make it work that I could meet them, but the timing just didn't work out because I wasn't there for very long, but I'm sure we will at some point in the future.
That'll be very fun to meet some new people that happen to share your name.
Yes.
I have a question, more or less, I think I know the answer to. Knowing everything you know now, what would you do different, or would you change anything?
I probably would not change anything for myself. I feel like it was just very much meant to be. So I had never gone there. I'd never done any research. I didn't understand the process. I didn't know that, 100,000 other people had inquired. And I think if I had gone through that, I would have probably felt discouraged and overwhelmed. Or
Definitely.
Or just, all of those things. I think for me, it was better that I just kind of took a leap of faith and tried it. But I would say for other people, because I know it doesn't always work out this well. And also, there can be a lot of things that go wrong. It would be a good idea to probably do more research about the €1 scheme and know more about the towns. And talk to other people who've been through the experience. I don't think there's anything that would have deterred me, just even from what I've heard, but I think it's good to talk to other people who've already been through it, because there's just so much that you can learn that will help you have a smoother transition.
Now that you've actually bought one in Sambuca, have you tried to study at all the other cities and what's going on?
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's just such a small network of people once you really dig in that are doing this. And there's not that many towns that are doing it at one time. And I also met, actually someone reached out to me from a company called Retire to Italy, which...
Right, I've actually been to their website.
Okay, yeah. So I met Alessandro actually when I was in Sambuca, and he has taught me quite a bit about the other towns and the schemes going on. And so I have visited. I've never been into any of the homes, but I have visited some of the other towns that are doing the same sales. So, and I feel happiest about Sambuca. The location is great because it's pretty close to Palermo and to the airport. And it's also pretty close to the beach. And there's a lot of very good vineyards around there. So the location, proximity to a lot of things is just really good. But also it's just a very small village that's mostly untouched at this point. So.
Well, that's great. When I visited Sambuca, it was on a Sunday, actually. Sunday in November. Literally saw no one. I made it up into the center of town, and there was like this just beautiful view. There's like this upper terrace, I guess, that looks out over.
Yeah, Belvedere Terrace. Yep.
That was awesome. It was beautiful to see that. I imagine there's a pretty good amount of tourism too.
Yeah, I think Probably more so now because they're doing as much as they can to promote the town and the village because they want tourism there so that they can keep people in jobs so that, they don't continue to have a population of people who have to move to larger cities to find work. I mean, that's the biggest reason that they have these €1 programs is to try to get people there to renovate these places to either, live there, create jobs there, have Airbnbs there, just to try to really keep the population in the villages. So um, they've worked very hard at that. And I think even just from the few of us, even, myself going there, not knowing that much about it, and the number of people that I've brought there and the number, people now heard about it because of articles or because my friends have posted stuff on Instagram or Facebook. I think that's just really made such a huge impact on the awareness of the village over the last couple of years.
Have you ever thought about what would have happened if you hadn't been telling your friends when you were small, I'm going to move to Sicily someday?
I don't think I would have ever seen the article because I don't on a regular basis read anything on CNN or the New York Times. So I don't think that I would have ever known about it. And I think it just goes back to kind of you putting things out in the universe and then somehow they find a way of getting back to you when you really mean it. So
that makes sense.
It's the perfect time.
Now, do you have to change any plans now that you have to stay home? Like you had to cancel some plane tickets? Or are you waiting till it's all done to come back?
No. The goal was, I've changed. I didn't have any reservations that I had to cancel, but the goal was I started going about once a month to get the process of everything started, and then took a little bit of a break over the holidays, and then just started again in February, going again monthly. That was the plan, to get it done by the end of the year. And I was just basically going for long weekends. But after the February visit, we started construction, and I was supposed to go back mid-March. And of course, that's all been shut down. So it's definitely changed my plans. It's certainly not going to be done by the end of the year now. I'm hoping it's done by, mid-year next year. But as soon as it's possible I will resume my plans, and I will start going there again monthly, just to, meet with the architect and the contractor and pick, the materials and just continue the process with the purchase of the second home. So it's, I don't know that it's changed the plans, but it's delayed them, I guess we'll say.
Are you intending to use this personally? Just
I'm sorry?
for yourselves? Oh,
yeah. I'm not actually going to rent it out at all. It's just going to be for personal use. My hope is to spend about 4 to 6 weeks a year there, and to allow family and friends that want to visit there to use it as well. And then eventually retire there. I'm a ways off from that day, but when the time comes for me to retire, I will live there full time. And I've been working on my citizenship. I actually qualify for dual citizenship with Italy. So I was
nice.
At the point where I was going to be able to file the paperwork to move forward with that. And of course, the consulate's shut down right now. So
that's true.
Yeah, the goal
I had the same issue with the U.S. Embassy, or the U.S. consulate.
Yeah. So the goal is right now to finish up, to obtain my citizenship this year. And hopefully by the summer next year, I'll be done with the renovation and I can start, spending more time there over longer periods.
There's not a whole lot more I have to ask, but is there anything else you'd like to share that comes off the top of your head?
No, I think the biggest question that I get asked a lot, aside from the hurdles and if I make any changes, what to think about when you're doing this. And I just always think you have to have a lot of patience and you have to have a good plan once you get started on on the idea of the renovation. But I think so many people get overwhelmed and feel like, they've told me they've been inspired by my story because I'm doing this. And, they thought maybe or had heard it would be too overwhelming to try to do this type of renovation. And I absolutely do not feel that way. I feel like the people I've worked with have been amazing so far. And I've met such a great community of other Sicilian American families who are doing the same thing that I'm doing in this town and in other towns. And we have a great community. We have, like a group text on WhatsApp, and we talk to each other. And not all of them are Americans. They're from kind of all over the world. Such a great community of artists. And we help each other out. And, the people of these communities have nothing but motivation to help you have a great experience because they want this to work. And I think if you go into it with a positive attitude, it can be a really amazing experience. And I wouldn't say it's been overwhelming for me at all. It's been exciting, and it's really been a blessing for me to be able to start this process. So I think for people who are thinking about doing it, not to feel overwhelmed, and to take the first steps and figuring out where they would potentially want to live, and what the opportunities are.
That's really good advice. Right now, we're actually sitting and waiting for the Comune Bisaccia. They announced back in February that they were going to do it, or that it was supposed to start at the beginning of March.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here a little curious if they're going to try to do what Sambuca did. But it seems like Sambuca had a very special situation that allowed them to do this auction type of one-euro home. It seems like it would have a little bit more of a draw or more attention, but Sicily has a pretty special charm.
It does. And I think even within Sicily, there's other towns that have the same thing going. They didn't advertise it the same way that Sambuca did. But Sambuca is just, again, the proximity to everything is great, but it's also a very beautiful town with a really unique history. And it does kind of have a special charm to it. And I think for some people, probably mainland Italy is more appealing. The language is a little bit easier to pick up. The people are a little more typical of what you think of when you think of Italian. But
are you going to try to learn a Sicilian?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How's your Italian right now?
I'm in the beginning stages. I've been studying for probably only 3 months. So slowly but surely there. I think that the charm for me, and for a lot of people that are moving to these places, is that it is a quiet little village, and I don't think you get as much of that if you're on mainland Italy. But I may just be biased because I'm Sambucese.
Maybe a little bit, but that's okay. You have the right. Well, I really like your story. I think it's one of the more unique ones, connecting back with how do you say, family history. I have a friend that's looking at Bisaccia for the same thing right now. So hopefully it works out for them too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, thank you for your time today. I hope to stay in contact with you over time to get maybe some pictures you send our way to see how the remodel's going.
I will do that. I will absolutely keep in touch and let you know once we get back up and running.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me. Have a great afternoon.
We'll see you later, Meredith.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Shout out to Meredith because it was all out of the goodness of her heart to come and visit the channel. She has a lot of good insight. It sounds like she had a very good experience dealing with architects and everything like that. Now, what I want to add to what she was saying, that the best thing to do is find someone you trust and try to trust them to communicate well with a team that they have trust built with. And what that does, you might think, well, I want to be able to control everything. But what it does is it creates a symbiosis where the plan goes forward as planned, as opposed to someone fights with the plumber and the plumber gets mad and he breaks something. I don't know. These are just horror stories of remodels. But if you can find a tight-knit group, a team that's ready, set, go, these remodels might go a lot faster. Now, she has this situation with our stay-at-home emphasis right now, which she has to deal with, but she has good spirits. So again, thank you, Meredith. Thank you, everybody, for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write something in the comments. We'll see you next time.